Welcome to Graceful Healing, a podcast to get straight talk about healing and living again. My name is Maureen Lake. I'm a holistic health coach, speaker, author, and thyroid disease fighter. Each week, I'll be bringing you graceful conversations to inspire you to seek new ways to hit the reset button to catapult your health and vitality to new levels. Listen in and open your heart to all the new possibilities. Are you ready? Let's do this. Merna Liddawi is a British Jordanian award-winning artist. What's amazing about her journey is that she started out in the area of math, teaching physics after attending school in Egypt. Over time, she knew art was calling her. She started out slowly, teaching herself different techniques and discovering her own personal and spiritual path along the way. When Merna decided to get some formal education, her journey started out as a 1-year trial, which turned into 7, and now she has an MFA in art from a magnificent school in England, where she now lives with her husband and children. Listen as Merna explains how art is healing, how it makes the invisible visible, how it allows you to pause from the digital world and listen and see what is always present when you have the ability to open up your eyes. Hello, everybody. I can't wait for you to meet Merna. She is like the most amazing artist that has an incredible story and journey to share with us how she ended up where she is today. How are you today, Merna?
I'm very well, Maureen. Thank you. I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast today.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. And thank you for, I know the time changes can be challenging, and I appreciate the fact that you are flexible with your schedule.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it is. It's summer, so it has to go forwards, isn't it?
Yes. Are you having nice weather at least?
Actually, we are. It's been a lovely couple of days, very, very sunny, and I live by the beach, so I love my walks. Take the dog and go walk on the beach. It's so refreshing. I love that, and the woods as well. We're close to the woods. So it's been lovely, lovely days. Yeah, been nice weather. The sun is out. Spring is on the way. I love spring.
Yeah, beautiful. Me too. Oh, it sounds lovely. So lovely. So Merna, if you could share your personal story and your journey about how you landed where you are today with my audience, I would really appreciate it, because I know it's incredibly interesting. And not only that, it's like impactful. So.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm an artist. I'm a full-time artist now, but that wasn't the case, and it wasn't something I was brought with or I've ever kind of dreamt when I was younger. My background is in teaching. I had my first degree in physics, in science. That was a long time ago, where I studied in Egypt.
Oh, wow.
I originally that's where I did my science degree. I originally come from Jordan in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And my father was a doctor, so he was very artistic, but, art wasn't something that was kind of encouraged or taken seriously in our home as a career or as a profession. Mm-hmm. But I guess I was quite influenced, as he liked drawing and painting. I would sit and watch him do something like that. But he was a doctor, so he did that as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And, I think in our culture, it's like expected of you to do, science. I was quite clever at school. I was had top grades. So, you're gonna be go on that route. So that's what I did. I did for a long time that, and I taught maths for a long time. But even during university, when I was studying, I loved drawing. I would just pick up a pencil and start sketching, start drawing anything in front of me. I really enjoyed start copying images from books, portraits, and we were not taught that at school, just to give you a bit of context. Okay?
That's what I was wondering, if you had any formal training.
No. In school, it was very much geared to science more than arts. We had an art lesson, but it was very, very boring art lesson. It was kind of, sit down and color. I think I can't remember even using acrylics or oils or watercolor or anything like that. It was just coloring pencils. Mm-hmm. That was our art lesson, or kind of drawing shapes and things like that. So I guess, that was kind of my background as where I was raised up. Mm-hmm. I think my influence with my father had really influenced and instilled in me kind of that curiosity, because he was a great draftsman and loved painting. I could smell the oil paint he used to go and paint, but I never really saw him. So I said, during university, I think when I was 16, I lost my dad. So that was that was a huge kind of a trauma in my life.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a very, very difficult time, very, very traumatic time as a teenager to lose her dad. Mm-hmm. And I went to Egypt to study science in the university there. But I guess, as a teenager, I was a bit depressed as well, because losing my dad, trying to deal with trauma, with loss. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting in my room feeling quite lonely and low. And I got a small portrait of Virgin Mary, kind of in the Christian tradition. So I got it out, and I had a pencil and a paper, and I just decided to draw it. I've never done portraits. I've never drawn anything like that. Okay. So it's kind of something in me really kind of was pushing me to go and sit down and try and draw this portrait. Mm-hmm. And I very remember that moment when I started copying the face. And it was the first time I experienced that, that sense of flow, and you lose time. You have no sense of time. It was a very beautiful feeling. And after I finished, I can't remember how long I spent there. I looked at the portrait I drew. I still have it. I said, oh my goodness, I can draw.
Wow.
It was such a revelation for me. It's like, where did that come from? It's just like, how did that happen? Nobody taught kind of measurements or how to do shapes or face or how to draw or how to see, and all these things you have in formal education.
Yeah, and the fact that it was the Virgin Mary that brought all that out is kind of amazing.
It is amazing. And I still have that drawing. And I could sense kind of that peace and that gentleness in her face, and was trying to draw that and express it. And I think since then, I really discovered that there was something in me that I didn't know it was there before, or I didn't connect with that creativity or with that kind of, the deep creative spirit that's in all of us. Mm-hmm. I just never connected with it. So I loved that moment was really, really a turning moment in my life, to kind of discover that I have something more within me than I could have imagined or thought, especially with what I was going through with the kind of loneliness and depression. And then I found kind of that sense of hope and peace and inner strength through that drawing that I didn't find anywhere else.
Wow.
Yeah. I think since then I just kept drawing. I used to copy images from books. I remember going back to home to Jordan during like the breaks, and I would just get a pot and a cup and make a small kind of still life, and I would just sit and draw and shade, and kind of I taught myself how to do that. So kind of that was if you fast forward now, kind of 10 years forward, I always had that in me. Even when I came to England here, I got married and had children. I worked as a math teacher for a long time. But creativity was always there, everything, and even decorating the house or doing something, I was always creative. When I came here to England, and it stayed with me. I remember as well when having the small children, I would watch on TV. There was a program called Watercolor Challenge in England here, and I would switch it on, and I said, this is beautiful. This is like, look at this watercolor, and there was this huge desire. It's like I can't describe it. That's like something call, deep call out of deep, kind of something calling me deep within just to go that way. It's just like I could not resist it. So I just it was like opening a sweet box for a child.
That's awesome.
So I remember going then and picking up, we were living in London, and going and finding this art shop and entering into that art shop. I think it was my first art shop that I would go, and they had all these amazing colors. And I was like nearly now in my, late 20s by then. And I bought my first watercolor set and would go home, and between the kids sleeping, or I would just leave, not do the washing or do anything, being lazy, and sit down and copy the programs. I would go to the library, get some books. I'm still a keen learner. Lifelong learning is a passion of mine. So I kind of taught myself watercolor as well.
Wow. Up until then, were you just using like pencil?
Yeah.
Wow.
Up until then, pencil. Yeah. Was pencil. I didn't know what else tools were there. Didn't know about charcoal or watercolor or acrylic. I didn't know about that. So it was pencil. So when I found watercolor, I painted with watercolor for a long time. I really enjoyed that, the fluidity, and I taught myself color mixing. I remember having a huge journal and sitting down there writing cool colors, warm colors, the mixed colors. So taking books and trying to copy that. Until kind of, did that on and off with raising the family and kind of working as well. And then kind of that passion stayed in me until I met a lady, and she's American, and she painted with watercolors. And we would get together once a week and just paint together. It was really, really lovely. Just encourage each other. We would sit down and paint and teach each other, encourage each other. And I did that for a long time until, that kind of passion in me was growing and growing. I said, there should be more. I need to learn more.
Yeah.
This can't be it, I need to know more. And so I started looking for courses around. I got into a course, and then I said, it was another watercolor. But I said, no, there's something else, there's something else that I need to learn more. So that drove me to go and look for advice. So then I ended up doing my degree, which kind of fell in my lap, honestly. I wasn't planning to make a degree because I already have a degree. So I wasn't really bothered about another degree. But all I wanted was like a love for learning. Understand more about that creativity, about, the spirit of our spirit and how we long for that connection, I think, with the creativity, the muse, say. So I've kind of ended up doing a degree, and it was 5 years, Maureen.
Oh, wow. That's dedication.
5 years, that is dedication. But when I went in, I said, I'll do a year. You know what I mean? And I'll see how it goes. Because, of course, my husband was like, 5 years, that's a long time. I said, I'll do 1 year, and then I'll see how it goes. And then, I could always, you don't have to finish. I'm not going to have a job out of it or anything like that. But a year, it was part-time, 5 years, because then I was looking after the children as well.
Sure.
And I tell you, these 5 years kind of really changed my life. It was, I was telling my husband, look, instead of you paying for a counselor, just let me do art.
Exactly.
I'll be a happy woman.
I bet it was therapeutic.
Very, yes, definitely. Very, very therapeutic. I think the whole process of making art is a very therapeutic, because most of the lessons in life I've learned through making art. Kind of the self-development, about taking risks, not being judgmental, which I was. Coming from a maths background, everything for me was either right or wrong, right, as maths. So doing art, at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to understand that there isn't right and wrong in art, right? Art is art. And it's an expression of who you are. it's kind of expression of who you are, and is that kind of embracing that journey, getting to know yourself more. So it's kind of all that therapy that comes from art. So these 5 years were like that, where for me experimenting, discovering, getting in touch with who I am as well as an artist, why I chose that color, not that color, why I like these techniques, not these techniques. And also being with other artists, you see, like everybody is so individual in the way they express their art. And then when I find myself being attracted to certain techniques, to certain marks, and it was kind of a journey of self-discovery, because I've journaled with that, and that kind of helped me to heal better and to know myself in a deeper way better, and to kind of come in touch of who I am.
It's beautiful. Gosh.
As a person, because you kind of lose yourself, and I am still, it's a journey, but I think once I've kind of connected, actually I'm an artist. It took me a long time to say I am an artist, because it's kind of how you express yourself and how you see the world around you.
Sure. That's fascinating, because like I know for myself, there's always the same colors that I'm attracted to. And whether it's in clothes or in a piece of artwork or jewelry, it doesn't really matter. And I often wonder why I'm attracted to those colors. And I mean, you probably, through your self-discovery and stuff with your own self, probably have a deeper understanding of that pull. I'm just guessing. I really have no idea. But that's one thing that's always fascinated me about color, even in the environment. Certain flowers and things that I'm really drawn to always have the same kind of color family.
Interesting. I think it does kind of say something about who we are, because when I was kind of trying to discover my voice as an artist, and that takes a long time, after I've done my 5 years degree, the fourth year, I did my essays, and the fourth year I started to discover who I am as an artist. I connect back with my roots, kind of with my Orthodox roots, my kind of Middle Eastern roots. And then I was telling my husband, look, I think I need another couple of years. And he was really gracious. And then I did my MFA.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, 2 years full time. And Maureen, I tell you, these were the 2 years, I think I can say it with my hand on my heart, they were the best 2 years in my life.
Oh, wonderful. Gosh.
Because they were and that was the two best healing years in my life as well. Because I did my MFA in a beautiful place as well. It's called Westing College. It's like in the middle of England. It's out in the green, and it's an old building. So the whole place, and I had this whole 2 years full time to actually dig deeper and deeper and to discover my voice as an artist. And going back to what you said, I've discovered kind of your expression and your voice has to do a lot of who you are as a personality, as your background, your influences, the things you like. Like, for example, many artists around me were inspired either by landscape or by figure, and they had that kind of Western mindset or heritage of art. But for me, because I came from the East, I always felt like I am, it's just like, who am I? I wasn't necessarily inspired by, I love the landscape, but it didn't inspire my art, or the figurative didn't inspire my art. So it took me time to see where my inspiration comes from. So you can say so the colors I chose and the techniques I chose and the marks I chose were all part of who I am and part of my spiritual journey, because I'm quite a deep spiritual person with kind of Orthodox faith. So that all connected through my art. It came out through the art I was expressing. So kind of, it's very interesting, like the colors you're attracted to, or the marks, or I believe, everybody has an authentic voice inside of them and a style that comes out when they express it in an art way. And that's very healing, because I think for me, it connects you to who you are. I like what Andrei Tarkovsky, if you've heard, he's a Russian filmmaker. He's kind of top Russian filmmaker, and he said beauty will save. And I love that quote. And save here means heal.
Yeah.
So, and it does, kind of beauty heals us, doesn't it? It's something being surrounded by beauty, especially with, we are in such kind of electronic and very distracted, and there are always things happening around us, and with the digital age around us, and so we need that kind of beauty.
Oh, I'll say, just even going for a walk and using your iPhone as your camera and just taking time to enjoy what's out there in the environment and have such gratitude for, I don't know, everything around us. That's how, like, I perceive an artist. They see the world the way it really is, where so many of us are so busy and rushing around, we don't even take the time to stop and pause and look at what's around us. So I think it's a true gift to be in any type of art form, whether it's drawing like you do, or photography, or even music. All of that is just such an amazing creative outlet and gift.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you said time to stop and pause, because kind of this is what kind of my mission and my heart is, kind of to create what I call a sila space. And sila is a word to me, is to stop and pause in kind of the Hebrew language. And kind of that's kind of, if you go to my website, that's my whole kind of mission in art, to help to create a space for people to meditate or pray or stop or pause and kind of connect with beauty and peace that kind of we lost it. And I think when we do that, we're kind of, more in connect with our authentic self, and we're more in connection with our intuition, and we're more at peace.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tell us, like, where you are today, as far as, do you do retreats, or do you take on clients and take them through a process, or?
Well, I am today. I have my art, which kind of is, I sell art, and they're all kind of, the whole idea is to bring that kind of peace and beauty, because I use early Renaissance techniques with genuine gold, and I mix my own paint. I use pigments like azurite and malachite, and very natural pigments, and the process takes time, so that time is actually seen in the painting itself. So actually, some people who bought the painting said, I feel so much peace. It's amazing. That people can see that it's like a window to receive healing and peace. Actually, people said that. So I've got kind of these paintings that people can kind of, use them as kind of a focal point today when you're on a desk, or you're sitting down, just to absorb the beauty and the peace that comes from art. It's quite powerful visually to engage with something like that. I also kind of I've just started to help artists, like on one-on-one, to help them kind of find, or creatives to find their authentic voice, or to find their authentic style, and discover what expression is as an artist. Because lots of artists are like lost, they do lots of different things. If they're visual artists, they might be doing a landscape and a portrait and a still life and this style and this style and this style. And I believe everybody can develop their own authentic voice, because the artists tell messages. They make the visible invisible. Kind of.
That's so true.
This is not my quote. Somebody said that, I think. I remember the art. But they say they make the invisible visible. So I help kind of artists and creatives to kind of connect with if they're stuck somewhere and they don't know where to go in their creative journey next. I can help them to kind of find one-to-one to find their next step, or where they want to focus next step on their creative journey, whether they're artists or photographers with me.
Oh, I bet that must be huge, because there's nothing worse than to feel so scattered in your thinking and not having that true focus. So the fact that you can do that for somebody else is amazing.
Yeah. It is something I kind of started doing, and I'm building on that. So it is amazing. It is amazing because, in a few sessions, I had like somebody said, "Oh, I know now what to do."
Yeah. That's like, huge.
He said, "Oh, I'm really stuck with that painting." Or like, "Oh, what? I mean, I have all these three things. I'm working on a portrait and the landscape and something else. Like, oh, what do I do next?" So like in one session, she said, "Oh, you've done that very quickly." So that's it's just getting the answers that are in them as well. And because I've got the technical skills as well, so I could help with that. It's like, why don't you try this tool or try this color, or how about that? So I can add my technical expertise as well.
But do you find that your math background has helped you?
Yeah, I can wear two brains, the left and the right. Actually, I can, because while I was doing art, I discovered that I can write, backwards, mirror image. Yeah. So that's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah.
I think it is kind of, I can activate my left brain and right brain, not the same time, because you can't. Like when I'm in my right brain, I might lose words, right? Like I would be speaking to the boys and say, "Oh, what? I can't say a word," because your right brain is activated. The logic, and it's put on the side. So I think having the two brains, I think good. Yeah, it might help. I think also with my art, because if you see my art, I like geometry as well. So my art has got a combination of geometric shapes. Plus, I love also anything invisible, like the universe or microscopic marks or things that have faded away. So all this was like a self-discovery journey while I was doing my art, about, kind of discovering yourself.
Right.
But also it is kind of for others to receive that healing energy and peace. That's already in the natural elements that I use.
That's wonderful. Gosh.
Yes.
Do you have samples of your art on your website?
Yes.
Oh, good. So the listeners can go there and actually see. That's wonderful.
Yes. I have paintings there, and also I take commissions. If people want a certain color, especially gold, because I work with genuine gold, and gold comes in so many different colors. It's beautiful. Yeah. I think it's important. I would encourage, for kind of the healing journey, people to engage in something creative. It is really, really important. And walks are good, but also I found that making something by hand, because we live in such a digital age. I mean, I'm guilty of that. When I spend time in front of my computer, I feel really irritable. Engaging something with your hand and, having that repetitive movements that you do with your hand, whether you're painting or even like cooking or chopping or knitting, or it's very, very healing.
I agree. I know I personally love to journal, and I always do it with a pencil because it's harder to push on the paper. And there's just something about that activity and creating something at the end of it that it's like almost like a meditation every time I journal write.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I do that as well. Journaling is really, really brilliant. It is. And sometimes when you get in the flow, you find that, I don't know if you find that, Maureen, like the pencil is writing before your brain does.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yep. It's putting words down that I haven't even thought of. It's crazy. Yep.
Yeah, it is. It's really, it's very, very healing.
I agree. Well, this has just been a wonderful discussion. I have one final question for you, and I ask like everybody this question. So I'm going to ask it for you too. In one sentence, could you give your younger self some advice if you could go back in time? What would it be?
I think believe in yourself and, trust your instinct. For me, trust my instinct. Be gentle. Give yourself time. And I think, kind of, I would tell her you have more in you than you can think. I think you've got more treasures in you than you can see at the moment.
That's beautiful, especially knowing that you came from such a traditional background, that science was something you kind of were expected to go into, and then you were able to like recreate yourself. And now you have this beautiful, unbelievable artistic, not only talent, but business that you can share with others. So I can't wait to go on your website and look at your pictures.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, honestly, Maureen, it's like something that, I call it, it's like a calling, more like kind of art called me.
And you listened. That's what's so amazing. Yeah. And here you're doing 5 years thinking you'd maybe just do one, and then you finished the 5 and then did 2 more on top of it. I just love that.
Yeah, 7 years. Yeah, I did study 7 years. So it's like, there's nothing, and I was in my 40s when I did that. So, and with children. So yeah, I think you can do, whatever you can do. If you have something that's calling you, I think you've got to go and pursue it.
Yeah, and just like have the ability to listen and know that something is calling you, because so often we shut that part of our brain off and don't hear it. We just keep motoring through day after day after day. And I'm so impressed that you're able to do that. It's beautiful.
And one of the reasons why I was able to do that, because we moved cities, so I had to leave my job where I was working as a math teacher, and then I was at home with my husband helping him in his work, and I was like, what do I do next? And I said, all right, I'll find a part-time job. But then I didn't feel right at all finding a part-time job doing what I wanted to do, because I said, what's the point? This is a new season in my life. There must be something different. And it just gradually, when I gave myself that time to not rush, aren't we? We're always kind of rushing to the next thing and rushing to the next thing and rushing to the next thing. When I gave myself time, I said, I'm just going to wait and see. Then things started to move in. Like this lady came, we started drawing together, painting together. My heart started, moving in, and I started having these passions rise up in me. And so I think giving ourselves time and space, then we can listen to what is calling us. If we're busy from the next thing to the other, then it's okay. I mean, this is what probably I need to hear now as well in my business. I'm talking to myself.
Well, it's such great advice. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with me on my podcast. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, Maureen, for having me. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed chatting with you and our conversation.
I did too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you can, take a moment and give us a review. And please join the VIP room in Facebook for more discussion and insights. You can find us at Graceful Healing Podcast VIP room. See you there, and see you next time.